One step down, two steps down. There we go. I think we've got it. With that, we are going live here. It is NBA Live Before Lock Special Edition. First time we've had a play-in game for NBA here. This is crazy, Adam. We've got Memphis hanging on literally by their fingernails. No more Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. We've got Portland, just like The Sims, have them as playing in for the playoffs here. The Sims feels like a lifetime ago, and we are sponsored by SuperDraft. Those are the operative things of the day. Oh, and FanDuel had a little kerfuffle last night with right around lock. People didn't get a swap out NBA and couldn't get their lineups for MLB, and they pushed the MLB lock early too. That was, I guess they wanted to give away some money yesterday. It's odd, very odd, but here we are, gamers. So let's jump on in here. Hey, give us a thumbs up here. I want to make sure that is working because I'm not seeing very many. I know we're a little off compared to our scheduled start time here, but not to fear. This was the plan all along. Sometimes when they do these special shows, it can be a little tricky, but we're good. We've got Adam for a full 30 minutes. He is playing, in his words, way too much today. Way too much. But we wouldn't want to show without what Adam doing. Adam, how have you been?
Good. I think this should be a really fun slate, a really fun game to watch, obviously, since it matters a ton. Nice to be back to basketball that has meaning after yesterday.
Good. Yes, that was... The last 2 days have just not been fun. There's just no other way to say it. And I had told myself, all right, well, at least we've got the weekend off, because nobody had updated the schedules on the ESPN and those, and then I was like, oh my god, there's a play-in game. I wonder when that's going to be. And then I thought, oh no, is it going to be at night? But nope, here it is in the afternoon. So this is game one. If Portland wins, game two will be tomorrow. If Memphis wins, then they are in the final spot for the playoffs. We have Portland favored. Last I saw, I think it was 6 now. It's been bouncing between 6 and 6.5. We have a 230 over under here, and we've got an exciting game. You've got a resurgent Yusuf Nurkic, who has just literally picked up right where he left off a year ago when he got hurt, Adam. That's been phenomenal. Jonas Valanciunas coming off a triple-double here. What kind of minutes is he going to get? I didn't realize he was that good of a passer. You've got Brandon Clark, who may or may not, I don't think we've got that starting use. He sort of nominal starter Anthony Tolliver in the other game here and there. I've been trying to look at rotations. They've been involved in so many blowouts one way or the other, Adam. It's been a little tricky. I was trying to decide, is Grayson Allen someone I want on the cheap? Is it Anthony Tolliver? Who is it going to be? That's the hard part. But let's address the top. It's all about Dame Lillard. This is his coming out party. He's carrying a team. He is the only player outside of Wilt Chamberlain to have 3 60-point performances in one season. That surprised me. But what do you want to do with Dame at the top?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's the number one guy coming into today. He is also by far the most expensive. On DraftKings, he's $2,000 more expensive than Yusuf Nurkic, who's the second most expensive player on the slate. He's getting the most ownership, as he should. The thing with Lillard is there's just so many positives working in his direction. For one, it's obviously not a great Memphis team defensively, but not only is Lillard extremely likely to lead Portland in usage and to really look to put take this game over, but he's just playing huge minutes. He played 44 minutes in Portland's game against the Nets, which was a must-win. This game technically not a must-win for Portland, but I'm sure they would like to win it and then not have to play a second game.
Oh wait, did I have that backwards? I thought Portland's the 8th. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I had that. They ended up catching him. Thank you. Sorry about that.
But like for the entire bubble, Lillard has averaged 42 minutes per game. So it's not even like you're talking about like a 35-minute projection and him needing to play really well. Like unless something weird happens, he's going to be on the floor for almost the entire game. So it's really, really difficult, I think, to get away from him. We have him. I basically, my numbers match up with our ownership. Like we have him projected for about 28% captain ownership and about 51% utility ownership on DraftKings. My numbers say that he should be about 27% captain and about 50% utility. So the numbers for me match up. It's even though he's getting a lot of ownership, it seems like he should be.
Now, so you know that, and let's just use him as the example. You that's where you're landing. That's where we think the field is landing.
That's I didn't mean that's where I was landing.
Thank
I
you.
meant
Yeah. So here's
so
where the
I'm
decisions come in: is if you kind of are like, all right, this is where I'm pretty sure the bellwether is. Now the fun begins. Do I play him? Do I not? How am I building my lineups? Is it a close game? Is it a blowout? Et cetera, et cetera.
right. Like I'm still working on my lineups right now, but in my spreadsheet where I decide how much I think a player should be owned so that I can use it relative to the projected ownership. I have Lillard coming in basically. I think he should be owned exactly how the field has him.
Excellent. All right. So first guy I'm diverging on here that I've set a cap. Since I'm on there, I've got my one main lineup locked in. I've got it in a few 3-mans and a couple tournaments, and then I'm going to build out 20 lineups here. I've got what I'm okay with, but I'm on air with the one and only Adam Scherer, so I could very well change some of my percentages here. First guy I'm capping at 10% in the field is CJ McCollum. He's got that sore back, technically a fracture. It's hard to say what's going on. To me, that just seems like a little bit of a wild card. I'm willing to have him be one of the players I'm going under the field against. Are you considering going under the field on him? Is it going to be Whiteside? Is it going to be Nurkic? As we go through the rest of the Portland Trailblazers here, what is your lean on those guys?
Yeah, so McCollum has been kind of interesting for me. It seems like it's really dependent. It's like a really, I guess, fine line for me because if I give McCollum 42, if I give him 42 minutes, he ends up being someone that I'm getting a little bit overweight on. If I give him 40 minutes, I end up being really under on him. So I think it's really close. I think that um, his salary's really affordable considering how many minutes you expect him to play. He is coming off of a big game, which was nice to see at least somewhat alleviate the injury concerns. So, I think right now we have McCollum at 58% total ownership, 12% captain, 46% utility. I think that's more or less where it should be. I could see coming in a little bit under the field though.
All right, so that's the first one yet where I'm really going. So we have him depending on when you pulled it. Yeah, it looks like about 50% of the field will have him on DK here. I'm coming in at 10 right away. That helps me get a different mix in my lineups. I've also set all my captain maxes at 10. That's just another way I'm doing it because when you're in these large field tournaments, and I'm just doing 20, it's hard to go. So here's my thought: it's most likely going to be Lillard. Okay, everybody wants to play him. The cheapest guy is Ja Morant, of the best guys that we want to put in our captain spot. That's making him popular. Nurkic just announced his grandmother passed away. I believe it was COVID-related illness. So he, Andy's been playing phenomenal. So everybody wants the narrative at that point, but he's a phenomenal option no matter what right now. And then you've got Jonas Valanciunas, who is kind of a wild card in all of that, but those are kind of the core, in my opinion, the 4 of the top 5, and then it depends how you want to put in McCollum. Do you want to go to Brandon Clark? Do we branch out from there? And then you got a bunch of scrubby guys. Of the guys that are coming in the middle, do you have strong opinions on anyone such as Clark, Whiteside off the bench? Anything like that? What does Whiteside, if this ends up being a runaway, does Whiteside get more minutes? How are you approaching kind of the mid tier for Portland?
Yeah, I'm getting to a lot of Clark. It looks like we have him for a lot of ownership as well. So one thing I think was important, and not saying that my solution to it is perfect, but the rules that you're setting between the centers and between just between guys. Like I don't want Clark and Tolliver together because they've been essentially, Tolliver starts and then Clark comes in behind him. Clark's been, backing up Tolliver and playing more minutes than Tolliver. With the centers, though, I thought it was kind of interesting with the pricing. I decided I don't want Nurkic and Whiteside together because on DraftKings, Whiteside's 5,400 and Nurkic is 10K. So you'd be allocating, almost a little over 15K to 2 guys that are not going to play alongside each other. I decided I was okay with having Valanciunas and Gorgie Dieng together because they're so much less expensive. Valanciunas is only 8,600, but even more importantly, Dieng's only 3,600. So I think that it's pretty easy for those two guys to both pay off their salary, even with a normal rotation where you get like 30 minutes from Valanciunas and 18 from Gorgie Jang. But I did make sure I don't want, if Valanciunas is my captain, I don't want Gorgie Jang. And if Jang's my captain, I don't want Valanciunas, because by putting them in the captain spot, you're really hoping they break the slate. And if that's the case, you probably got more than 30 minutes for Valanciunas, or you probably got more than 18 minutes for Jang, which obviously hurts the other one a lot.
So I made my 3-man lineup here is going to be like the chalkiest of chalky, and I'm sort of breaking some of your rules right away. So I went with Ja at the captain spot. That allowed me to get Lillard and Nurkic, and then I kind of wanted Brandon Clark, but then I'm running out of money. So I'm looking at Gorgie Jang. I've got Anthony Tolliver. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with Hazonia, because all of a sudden now I've got 4 Grizzlies, and as you mentioned, some of them have competing minute interests there. So either I'm sort of locking it up and hoping the handful of other people I'm playing, doesn't go their way, or their guys don't boom. That's the confusing part. So as you get down to Mario Hazonia, we're dumpster diving. Gorgie Jang, Anthony Tolliver, revenge game, by the way. Portland's one of the 10 teams he's played for. He's played for like every one of those 10 teams twice, it feels like. But he played for Portland earlier this season. How do you, to borrow a phrase from Gordon Gecko, pick me the dog with the least amount of fleas?
Yeah, Hazonia looks really interesting to me because right now we only have him projected for like 3% ownership, which I think is too low. He only played 11. It's not that he's safe at all. He only played 11 minutes last game, but we've seen many games in the bubble where he's gotten 22, 23 minutes, including the last time that the Blazers faced the Grizzlies. Memphis' starting lineup is what we expected, same as they've been using.
Yep.
And you had Hazonia actually getting some minutes to 3 alongside Collins and Nurkic. So I'm projecting him for like 16 minutes here, kind of cutting it in half. But he's so cheap that if he does get those 22 minutes and he lets you get pretty much everyone else you want into your lineup, I'm getting a lot of Hazonia, especially again because, like I said, we have him projected for low ownership. If you told me Hazonia was going to be 20% owned, it's pretty easy to get away from since he can really easily play 13 minutes. But if no one, it seems, is going there, at least according to our current ownership projections, then I think that's a spot that I'm willing to take a chance and hope that he gets his 20 minutes or so.
All right, so the starting lineup is going to be Morant, Brooks, Slow-Mo, Kyle Anderson, Anthony Tolliver, and Joval. So that is, as Adam mentioned, that is expected. So now I like those. I'm setting some of those rules that you have. So I'm intrigued by them. So I agree with your Clark Tolliver one outside of my quote main lineup, which I'm not putting in the crunches. And then I like that Whiteside Nurkic rule. That's a pretty good one too. For that. Gary Trent, as we finish up, he's probably the last. Gary Trent and Zach Collins, I guess, kind of the last viable guys. Whiteside's going to kind of be minutes dependent. I don't have a good read on him. I think they need to be well ahead for Nurkic to get a breather. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to be Whiteside for more than about 16 minutes. What did you put Whiteside in for?
16 minutes.
Okay.
I'm still getting a pretty good amount though.
Okay. 16 minutes, he can double. That's the crazy thing. It's just he most likely won't be closing if this is a close game. That was the other thing.
I don't expect him to close, but I expect him to play whatever center minutes Nurkic doesn't play. So if Nurkic plays his normal rotation, that's like 16 inside. If Nurkic gets in foul trouble, or if Nurkic is playing terribly and Whiteside's playing really well, which is less likely to be the case, then there's upside for more for Whiteside.
All right. So Collins. Any Collins. He just kind of feels like the last guy. I heard someone say, it might have been Bill Simmons' podcast or another basketball podcast. I haven't listened to that many recently, but they were pointing out that he is like a really good kind of glue guy, willing to defer and do a lot of the little things, but that kills him from a fantasy perspective. That's just going to kind of be the way it was. And I got burned on that at the beginning of the bubble games here because I thought, this is going to be great and he's going to be in there, and I wasn't expecting Nurkic to grab literally every rebound when he's on the floor. So I don't really have Zach Collins in this. He's not that exciting to me. And then Gary Trent, I'm not really getting either. He's kind of priced up, and then laughed at the beginning of the show, but Anthony Simmons or Simons. God, I'm never going to get his name right. Is the last guy.
Yeah. So
Simons.
Collins, I'm not getting to a lot of Collins. I'm getting to more Collins than Trent. I clearly expect Trent to play a lot more minutes than Collins, but Trent's almost $2,000 more expensive, and neither of them is going to be a high usage guy. Obviously, like Trent's getting less usage than every other player on the floor. Same goes for Collins. So getting to the cheaper guy makes sense, but again, I'm just not getting to much of either one. Where to me, it's basically like, yeah, you're taking on risk by going to like a Hazonia or a Jang or whatever, but they're so much cheaper in terms, percentage wise than going to like a Gary Trent or a Collins for value, that I'm doing that a lot more often.
All right, let's hit the other side now. Lost my page. Okay, so you have to choose between a lean on Joval or Ja. Which side are you coming down on here? How do you are we? I mean, Joval could be 60 fantasy points. He could have a crappy game and get like 28. That's a big variance for a lot of your salary cap allocated to him.
I mean, they look like two of my three highest owned players right now. Okay. So I'm getting to a lot of both of them. I also set, and not that it would really be an issue, you're going to just get it naturally, but just to make sure, I did make sure that in any lineups where I have Lillard as the captain, I have one of the main Memphis guys, Joval or Clark or Morant or Brooks, just because for Lillard to break the slate, you do need Memphis to hang in there. And if none of those four guys are doing well, then they're probably not.
Yeah.
But again, like, you're naturally going to get that. The only reason I set the rule was just to eliminate any lineups where it's like Lillard, Melo, Nurkic, and then running it back with like Memphis scrubs.
It's kind of interesting here, Adam. Like if I just run a normal 20 crunch without very many rules, I'm getting basically Lillard in most of the lineups, Nurkic in probably half of them, and then the rest is just a sea of blue. It's all the Memphis guys.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens for me too. And I think really that makes sense, because so much of Portland's offense is concentrated on Lillard, and he's so expensive. And then Memphis, it's spread out a little bit more, and they're more reasonably priced. So I think that just from like a logical standpoint, it makes sense to have more Memphis guys in most of your lineups, especially assuming that you have Lillard.
All right. Let me see here. So Brandon Clark, bit of a wild card here. Coming off the bench, I think that's totally fine. He'll probably, if it's close, he's going to be a big reason behind it. He's incredibly popular right now. Now remember, we shouldn't worry that he's not a starter, because he really hasn't started all season, because it was Jaren Jackson usually getting the starts. He started against Utah, and he started back before Rudy Gobert Day on the 24th against the Clippers. And then he had two other starts this entire season, once against Minnesota in December, and then in November once against Houston. So don't panic that he's not there, especially people that are kind of dipping in right now that haven't really been following basketball closely, or you've been chasing all of the sports that are happening right now, which has led to you not particularly following basketball closely. But that's not something I'm overly concerned with in this one. Dillon Brooks. Adam, Dillon Brooks is someone that if he gets the shot attempts, can be fantastic. His shot attempts while in the bubble, 18, 15, 26, 18, 17, 13, 20, 16. That's pretty damn good. He was the guy that was bouncing back and forth on between him and Clark. Ultimately, I landed on Clark. Do you have a favorite if you were just building one lineup between those two?
I think they're really close. I would give a slight edge to Brooks. Just it kind of depends who else is in your lineup too. Like if you have Morant, I would prefer Clark. But in one lineup, I'm not saying to set a rule not to have them, but in one lineup, just because Brooks doesn't do anything except shoot. Nobody thinks Dillon Brooks should be shooting except for Dillon Brooks, and he's not getting assists. He's not typically rebounding, so he's going to negatively correlate to main guys on Memphis because he's just taking so many shots. So again, I'm not saying to set a rule. Like clearly him and Morant at their respective salaries can both have big games, but if I were making one lineup, I would prefer Clark. If I have Morant, I'd prefer Brooks if I don't have Morant.
All right, let's get a few likes in here. We've got 15 minutes until tip-off. We only have 120 likes. We've got almost 800 people watching. Please give us a little thumbs up here for this very special episode of the NBA Live Before Lock. First time we've ever done a show for the play-in game, because it's the first ever play-in game. We are sponsored, of course, by SuperDraft. If you guys have not yet signed up for SuperDraft, they do have contests today. They're going with their special mode where they have the single game contest, so it's a lot of fun. They call it the champion mode, so it's kind of interesting over there. Their top guy is gets 50% more of the multipliers that he's already getting multipliers on, so you'll want to check that out. If you have not made your first deposit, use the promo code Awesemo10. That's Awesemo10. Put in $10, they'll give you 10. Put in 100, they'll give you 20. That comes in super cash, which is the site currency, and is available for immediate use into any contest. They also have NASCAR up. They've got NHL up, and there's MMA tonight. We just had an MMA show here on Awesemo. It's on the YouTube channel. Or we had a NASCAR show. We've got MMA Live Before Lock and Baseball Live Before Lock tonight as well. There is an MMA breakdown that's in the can from 2 days ago with Pete the Heat Rogers and Jason Floyd breaking down the entire card. Anthony Tolliver. What do you think? Does he get more than 12.5 fantasy points today?
I have him at 11.5. So, I mean, here's the thing with Tolliver. Can he just shoot well from three and pay off his salary? Yeah, obviously. But it's unlikely he gets big minutes because he's backed up by Brandon Clark, who's one of the best players on Memphis. I really have no idea why they're not just letting Clark play like 36 minutes. But so it's tough for the minutes to be there because it's not like Clark is also backing up Valanciunas. That's Jang. So unless they entirely change the rotation, it's hard for Tolliver to get more than like 20 to 22 minutes. And if you're taking the approach that you need a cheap guy and you're just kind of hoping things break right, Jang is a better per minute player. Hizonia is a better per minute player. And Jang's a little more expensive. Hizonia is cheaper. To me, I would just rather, if I have to roll the dice on a really questionable value guy, I would rather be going to, Hizonia for less, Jang for a little bit more. Even someone like a D'Anthony Melton, who is 4,200 on DraftKings, low probability play, but can go out there and at least when he's on the floor, he produces at a higher rate than Tolliver.
When the contests lock, they were to lock right now, what would your biggest regret be on your player pool?
Not getting my lineups entered.
I just uploaded mine. I'm good. I'm locked and loaded. So
yeah, I'm finishing what's hopefully my last crunch.
All right.
So yeah, I'll have a better answer for you in like 5 minutes. But
well, hey, we only have 11, so it better be in 5 minutes. No reason to risk that. Hopefully, you have at least a decent placeholder. I forgot one of the hockey showdown slates yesterday, and I had Ovi in my captain spot and cashed everything. And just missed winning the boosters contest with the train. So damn it! But sometimes you get lucky. 2 days ago, I had a button mash lineup and forgot to set mine, and it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, that's normally my approach. I have a decent one today. I mean, it's not very good, but it wouldn't be dead.
All right, Grayson Allen. So yes, Grayson Allen is a wild card. What is going to happen? Are there nuts he can kick today? What do you think about Grayson Allen?
I mean, I have him in for 28 minutes. He's pretty consistently been finding a way to get there. It seems he's kind of playing the minutes that I would rather D'Anthony Melton be playing. But that's another rule I said. I don't have any Melton and Allen together. But yeah, I mean, Grayson Allen, he's certainly one of the viable values on the slate. You're not expecting a ton out of him, but he has been typically playing upper 20s in minutes. It is a weak Portland defense, so it's really easy to see how he could be more efficient than normal.
We've got a straight 1v1 question here. This is from Ryan in chat. He asks specifically for you, Whiteside or Collins?
If money's not an issue, Whiteside.
They're asking about Gorgie Jang. Yes, I like him. He is in my main lineup. I don't expect him to close anything out, but he is someone that we've seen that if something befalls anybody and he can get into a few more minutes, he can be efficient. We saw that while he was with Minnesota without Karl Anthony Towns on the court. So that was, and he's cheap. That's the other thing. He's gonna get what 20, 22 minutes probably, and he's cheap. That's hashtag analysis. Let's see, MVP over there on FanDuel. So they have their 2 times their top, or 2 times, 1.5 times, and 1.2 times, and then 2 regular players with no adjustments. Would you raw points go with Dame or Nurk in your Dame? Okay. Let's see, Anthony Tolliver. I like him. He is starting. That is perfectly acceptable. Adam has him for 11.5 fantasy points. I'm thinking 12.5. Now you know our expectations are not that lofty.
Tolliver is on DraftKings. Tolliver is my lowest owned player.
Would you risk Whiteside as a captain in any of your 150?
I have him as captain in like 1.5% right now.
Okay. We didn't really get into Melo that much. 36-year-old Carmelo Anthony has had some moments. I thought he was done being in the league. Clearly he's not, or at least he's found the perfect situation for him, playing on a team of, that Olay defense is their standard. How would you feel about Melo or Gary Trent?
I have not much of either. I have a little bit more Trent than Melo just because he's less expensive.
All right. Kyle Anderson. Would you consider Kyle Anderson or Grayson Allen? Slow-mo, God, they're both so enigmatic. I think Allen has the higher ceiling, but that may be because he's shooting more. We've seen Kyle Anderson have good games, but you never know when those are going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. Would you play those guys together, Allen and Anderson?
I don't have a rule not to.
Okay. All right, as we're getting ready here, Adam's about to hit submit on his lineups. This is where it always gets to be a little fun. Give Adam some thumbs up here. Let's see if we can get that up to 200. We would appreciate it greatly. Coming on after our show, we still have MMA and MLB live before locks this evening, so you want to check that out. MLB will be going at 6, I believe. Let's see when MMA is, because that sounds like the MMA lock time. Oh, 4:30. My apologies. 4:30 for MMA. And then 6 o'clock for baseball. Baseball on Yahoo locks at 6 for their main slate. The other sites are going at 7. You'll want to keep an eye on that. Differences, you might be able to find a little bit of overlay over on Yahoo. Let's see. Brooks at captain. Did he make it into any of your 150?
He's currently the problem I'm trying to fix right now. Way too much Dylan Brooks.
All right. Well, it's because he's got those excellent shooting volume. Does he have anything else? We'll see. We shall see.
I mean, the price on DraftKings, I think, is one of the, relative to upside, one of the biggest misprices on the slate. It's just that he's so bad. But yeah, to answer the question, I'm rolling with what looks like about 55% Dylan Brooks overall and like 10% captain. Looks like Brandon Clark's actually my highest owned captain on DraftKings. That should be fun.
Yeah, you may need to start cracking some beers at tip-off here. And at halftime, don't forget, there are second half and fourth quarter contests, Adam. So, and there's in-game betting if you have a friend located in the state that has allowable betting. Not that I would ever advocate that. Whiteside or Anderson on FanDuel. I would lean towards Whiteside just for the 3 points for blocks and steals.
Yep.
No Captain Dame, no cash. Potentially, but what if Captain Dame is not needed to be superhuman today and other players end up doing a little bit better proportionally? Now you've got a big chunk of the field that is in trouble. That's the precipice. That's the tipping point. You got to figure out where that is. That said, in my quote, main chalkiest of chalk lineups, I do have Lillard in the captain spot. Are we worried about the Blazers sacrificing defense? I believe that means playing defense.
Sacrifice implies that they're capable of it in the first place.
Yeah, there is no there is no D in Portland. See what I did there? Portland. Yep. Dad joke. Had to get one in just when Adam was least expecting it. Would you prefer a guard or a big man at captain?
Don't have a preference.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's the kind of the big four is decision points at captain, as we have 3 minutes to go, are going to be Ja, Lillard, Joval, and then Nurkic. CJ is the move today. That dude had 18 of his 25 points in the first half last game. That injury is not bothering him at all. We shall see. That's where
if you're going with that narrative, though, wouldn't that actually suggest that it might be?
Because they got hurt later in the game?
Like if he's doing worse as the game goes on?
Yes, the adrenaline's wearing off. Had to sit during halftime. Yeah, whatever shot he was given it's not there anymore. Will Melo step up with the down game for CJ? I would think it would be Gary Trent would probably get more.
I mean, if Melo's stepping up, Portland's in trouble.
Yeah, Melo's just gonna get what Melo gets.
Melo needs to just get out of the way.
Oh, let's see. 2 minutes to go. Anderson or Trent on FanDuel? I'm gonna say Anderson.
Probably Anderson.
All right, 90 seconds left. Yeah, the hard part is figuring out which combo of Grizzlies are going to disappoint. Well, I've got all of the combos of Grizzlies on my lineups with Lillard and or with Nurkic, so I will have a share of that no matter what. Roy, thank you. Yes, I thought that was a good joke as well. Give me a thumbs up for that joke. That was fun. We got to get up to 200 there. That'll be nice of you guys. Dame with 45% usage. Wow, so low? we'll see. Could he get 55? Let's where will we stop the bidding? 60 seconds left here. Let me just hit refresh and make sure I actually did upload my lineups. Not that it's only money. Yesterday I had like 15% of my player pool was Minnesota, the Minnesota game that got rained out for literally no warning whatsoever. Sometimes you just gotta laugh. It's gonna happen. I survived. I'll play another day here. Let's see. Ooh, Gorgie Jang is in 70% of my player pool. I have him as 2 captain spots. It allows you to get all the other players that you want, but we'll see. That will be risky. 300 or 300. Yeah, we should get 300 likes. Absolutely.
Looks like I'm taking a big stand on DeAnthony Melton.
DeAnthony Melton, it is. All right.
It's not with any confidence. It's just there.
Sometimes that happens, Adam. Sometimes that happens. It's one of those where you could be ordering a jersey at halftime, or you could be ordering a bottle of something delivered.
Well, the problem was, like, on the first crunch, I was getting like 40% Hazonia, which I obviously didn't want. But once I started losing my Hazonia and not jamming in Anthony Simons in his place, it kind of just left more for like the Anthony Melton.
All right, 36. Melo's 36. Don't shortchange him a year, guys. Come on, his birthday was in May. All right, that is gonna do it. Let's go. I'm curious out of ownership here, so I'm gonna go over to DK and let's just since this is the first ever play-in game, we will honor it with a look at ownership. Let's look at the $500,000 on DK. 20 million or $20 tournament. Is that the one you were in?
Yeah, I'm in like everything.
I am not. On the other hand. All right. Oh,
what was that?
What do you? Is this? Oh, it doesn't list it out. Oh, how do you tell if? Oh, the download doesn't tell you who's captain, who's not. Well, I saw Damian Lillard 84% captain. It's not because
he's 32% captain. And,
I should. I should have just
me very underweight.
Yep. So he on the one I am in the $500,000 one. Lillard is 32% in captain. Joval is 10. Dylan Brooks is 9. Brandon Clark is 6. Whiteside is 3. Slow-mo is 1. Zach Collins is 1. Gary Trent is 2. I can't remember if I said Nurkic or not. He is 6. Joval 10. Gorgie Jang 0.8%. I have him.
3.
I have him as 2 of my 20 captains. So woohoo, there we are. Yeah, nothing really like overly egregious. A lot of this just came out. I think our numbers worked out pretty well, at least on DK with where the field was going to go.
It looks. I'm pretty much underweight on Lillard across the board, which is terrifying. But I mean, I still have a lot of him. It's just that I don't have as much as the field does. I ended up with total 61% Lillard ownership in that $20. 13% at captain, and he's 84% owned with 32 at captain. Like, I'm okay with that. Obviously, I would feel better if I had tons of Lillard, but you're trying to win a top-heavy tournament with 29,000 people. If a third of them are playing the most expensive guy in captain, I'm fine going with other guys. Clark looks like I have 18% Clark at captain, and you said he was 6%, so that's a pretty nice stand.
Mario Hezonja total owned is 14%.
I have 13.
All right, Melton is 14.
I have 29.
Simons, not to be confused with Simmons. Simons is 3.5.
Yeah, I played 9.
Josh Jackson, 1.6.
I mean, it's basically the Simons play, except even lower probability.
Do you have Wenyen Gabriel projected to play any minutes?
No, I don't.
So Wenyen Gabriel 0.5, Marco Goodrich 0.2, Yuta Watanabe, I realized he was in the league still, 0.2, John Conchar 0.1, Jalen Horde 0.1, Tyus Jones
Definitely not playing
0.06, Jaren Jackson Jr. 0.03. Congratulations, y'all played yourself. Rodney Hood, Trevor Ariza, Nasir Little, and Caleb Swanigan round out those that we're probably not going to see today. Wow, interesting. Okay, well, there we are. That was kind of fun. Now I'm going to go watch the game here. Adam, get ready for some baseball tonight. Again, 4:30, you get the MMA show here. They have, check your email. I got a nice little offer from SuperDraft giving me a ticket into an MMA contest. So that may fill, but jump on, check your email if you got one, if you're already a member over there. If you have not signed up or made a deposit over there anyway, you can already be signed up. But if you haven't made a deposit, you can use your promo code Awesemo10. That's Awesemo10. They will match your first $10 in bonus. If you put in 100, they'll give you 20. Awesemo10. That's Awesemo10. Same code for both. All right. With that, gamers,